Hello everyone, Elspeth here, and welcome back to Rising World. So, today, in addition to quickly finishing up this front part of our beautiful little dugout manor house here, I am going to be creating a furnace/smelting room. And that is per Hansen's comment. She voted to just destroy the furnace that's down in our little shed by the pond and build a room inside the manor house. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And that room is going to be below the crafting room because it just kind of makes sense to keep all those things together because you need the smelted ores for crafting. And yeah, to me, it makes sense to have all of that together. Plus, having the smelting room down lower means that you have the heat generated by that, because you can think, like these furnaces, they would make a lot of heat, right? So it would be good to actually be able to utilize that heat. Not that it makes a real difference in game, but simply, the way that you think about it, how you're setting things up, in real life, that would be a consideration, is where you want all that heat to go. And heat rises, so having it coming up into the crafting room is probably the best option. Obviously, having it set up so the heat travels throughout the entire manor house would be even better. But that's more complex than what we need to get into at this point in the game. There might be a future update that involves making sure that things are warm enough. I don't know. Speaking of updates, let's see, it was Rasco Jason who was asking what updates were made to the game. So I'm assuming that you mean what changed with the most recent update. And the easiest way to find that is if you go to the official Rising World website, go into the forums and into Rising World News. And under there, they actually have the change logs for the updates. So the most recent one is going to be at the very top of that. And that will tell you everything that they have changed, and you can kind of go back and read all of them and see what's been changed throughout the game. So yeah, that's the easiest way to keep on top of what's going on with the game, is just to go back and read those. And they're usually also available on the Steam forums as well. Those update change logs are generally something that for a lot of games they also get posted up on Steam. So that gives you a couple different places to look at for those detailed lists. I think that the big thing was the dungeons. I think that was the biggest thing with the new update from April. And I don't think that we know when the next update is coming out, which is completely fine because sometimes the updates make it very difficult for you to actually get to your old save games. So I'm okay with not having an update for a while. Got a lot of work to do on this house here. So I don't want to lose it just because of an update. And you guys, thank you so much for 60 subscribers. That is unreal. That is absolutely awesome. Thank you guys so much for that. Whether you're subscribing for Rising World, Survival Craft, or both, it's just awesome to have all of you. So a huge thank you. And you may notice that this video is also time-lapsed. Again, based on the comments saying that you guys liked the way that I did this, which it makes sense because after all, I'm excavating rooms, so it's not really the world's most interesting activity to watch at at a normal speed. So I completely understand why you guys would prefer that I just time lapse it. And that's totally fine. That's actually kind of cool because then I get more done in each episode, kind of. So that is totally fine. And here I'm really just, obviously excavating the room to put the furnaces into. It's got to be pretty big because since I can't reclaim that old furnace, I'm going to make the large furnaces because those make more sense anyway. You really do end up accumulating enough ore that it's a better idea to have the large furnaces instead of have to keep going back to those small ones and restocking and refueling. And you can see the gaps in the ceiling above us where that's like where the wall was on the others, and I didn't go down all the way when I put the wall in. So that's what those are. If anybody was looking up going, gosh, your ceiling looks a little strange. Yeah, I know. We'll kind of get to that as we go, sort of. And at the moment, I'm planning on putting in 2 furnaces. I might not get them both in today, but I'm planning on making a room big enough for 2 of the large furnaces. I might possibly expand the room to be able to put in a 3rd furnace later. That's something that, as I was working on this, I was thinking to myself whether or not I really wanted to do that. And the answer that I came up with was really just maybe. So you'll see when we get further along that I just kind of I put a wall in on one side, but I don't put anything in front of the wall, so I can always take it down later. So that's why that is the way that it is. And yeah, we'll kind of see if it feels like another furnace would be appropriate. That's a pretty easy thing to do. If it doesn't feel like it's appropriate, well, then we've got a wall up there and I don't need to worry about it. And as you could probably tell there, we're running out of stone, which I'm going to have to address relatively soon. So that's, it's a good thing that I'm doing a lot of digging anyway, but I'm going to have to go actually down into our mine and do some real mining, which gave me an idea. I'm planning on trying to do a Sunday morning stream for Rising World, and I think the goal of that stream is probably going to be maybe 2 goals. The first goal is to actually get low enough down in the mine to find gold, because I really want to be able to make that ore finder. That's really exciting to me. And the second goal of Sunday morning stream would be to see if we can find a dungeon, because I haven't found one yet. So I think that would be really cool if we could find one. So we might do that. Just say that the stream has those 2 goals. We're looking for gold and we're looking for a dungeon. That would be really cool. And if I get started early enough on Sunday, then I might just stream until I find both gold and a dungeon. So fingers crossed on that. And then of course, Saturday morning is going to be the Survival Craft stream as usual. So there'll be those 2 things going on this weekend. Just kind of changing it up a little bit. I've got some stuff that I need to do later on in the day, so it's a little bit easier to do the streams in the morning. Gosh, sometimes you can fit that block right back there in with the terrain, no problem. Other times you're hoping that you'll be able to, and the game is just like, no, sorry, you're gonna have to do some more digging, deal with it, grab the pickaxe. But that's okay. That's okay. I can't complain too much about digging because, I just said that we need more stone. And we're also going to need more dirt because even though we have a lot of dirt, you guys saw that when I opened up the storage chest, I'm going to need a lot more because got to keep in mind there's still a lot of outside terraforming to do. So that dirt's going to get used up pretty quickly, realistically. And that's something that I might try and get to that during our live stream Sunday morning. I might not. We'll kind of see how we're doing for time and then make that decision. But I definitely want to finish up the terraforming, at least on the side of the hill closest to the pond, because I want to be able to get started on putting in the gardening terrace. Well, actually, plural terraces, because there's going to be more than one. And I haven't tried it, so I don't know if this would work. But I think what would be really cool is to actually have a waterfall coming down through the garden terraces. I think that would look really cool. Okay, so now that we have a full canteen, we're good to go. Got plenty of water. Oh, aren't those sunsets beautiful? The sunsets and the sunrises and the fog. Just, I guess, kind of the general weather effects in this game are really great. They just look amazing. So, we took a quick break, got something to drink, something to eat, and we're back down in our little dugout here. I'm really excited about how this little room down here is going to look. I think that having different crafting rooms, to me, that feels very authentic to the time that we're working in. Or I keep thinking about this in terms of being more of a medieval time frame, but that's not really right. Because if you think about it, there isn't necessarily a specific time frame set in this. You're just kind of, tossed on an island with nothing. So let's face it, it could be the 21st century, and if you're tossed onto an island with nothing but a pickaxe and an axe, this is pretty much how your life is going to go, except you probably would not be excavating a mountain and putting in a manor house just yet. So, not necessarily medieval. But I can kind of think that way and work off that concept, I guess. Which is, to me, it's a lot of fun. I love looking at like the pictures of the old castles in like Scotland and Ireland and throughout the UK, really. And even Europe. There are some amazing castles in Europe. I would love to someday go on a tour of some of the castles throughout Europe. That would be so much fun. I would probably not want to come home. I would be over there asking them, so is there any chance that I could just, stay? Do you need somebody to house sit for you? I could totally be fine with house sitting in a castle. That would be totally perfect for me. But, so back to what we're doing here. This little corner back there, that's going to be a storage area, essentially, as you just saw. So we've got the one storage chest there, or crate. Technically, that's a crate, and it's I think that one's the small crate. And I can probably fit in a couple more things there. And then maybe I might be able to fit one of the actual storage chests up on that shelf there. That would be great. That would be really great, because I think that it would be wonderful to actually be able to utilize shelving, the concept of shelving in this game. I think that is underutilized. So being able to, build my own and put that up, I really do like the way that that comes out looking when you have all of that set up. So still working on excavation here. Keeping in mind, I keep kind of stopping and looking around, and I have to keep in mind that it's going to be large furnaces going in here. So that translates to, sadly, a lot more digging. I know, really boring, I'm sorry. But I promise it's going to look good. I promise it's going to look good. I do have to experiment with a few different things to determine how I want to basically customize the furnaces, because it's not that the stock furnace looks bad. It doesn't. It really doesn't. It's just that I think it could look better. And if I think it could look better, then I should definitely make it look better. Partly because everybody does something a little bit different when they're customizing the area where they have their furnace. So it's just another layer of individuality and personalization that you can put into this game, which again is something that I love, and that's why I love these open world sandbox type games, because we're all working with the same basic ideas, but we all end up with something really, really different, which is so much fun to check out what everybody else has come up with and kind of see where their ideas took them. It's absolutely great. So, I mean, you can see here I'm extending that wall out, but I'm not going to put anything against it over there. So I will be able to, in the future, if I choose to, go back, knock out the wall, and expand the room a little bit out in that direction to put in a third furnace if I decide that that's kind of the way that I want to go. And here we go. We've got that nice shelf here. And yeah, I know that tiny little area underneath the step there, I'm never going to be able to put anything in it. But hey, you know, you never know. You can think of it however you want. Maybe that's a small area where the blacksmith would set his tools. Who knows? Again, it's one of the great things about games like this is that a lot of it is really kind of left up to your own imagination as far as envisioning how this area would be used and what would happen here. That's all in your head, which is great as far as I'm concerned. I think that's absolutely wonderful, because then we can all create different things. And it sounds like there's a thunderstorm rolling in, judging by the fact that my guard dog is suddenly about to jump into my lap whining. My ferocious guard dog, who would be completely fine with flying out the front door to tear apart whoever decides to come and visit. But a little bit of thunder and lightning, and I have a frightened little puppy who wants to hide under my chair or crawl into my lap, depending on where I'm sitting. Precious little thing. So, again, kind of doing a lot of checking the spacing, trying to figure out, you know, how big do I need to make this area? How far back do I need to go? Because I don't want it to be too terribly cramped. So I want it to look, I want the furnaces to be set back a little bit, so it kind of looks like they're set back into the wall. But I don't want to have this tiny little minuscule walkway that looks impossible for anybody to safely get through. Because in my mind, when I think about how you would realistically set this up, I'm thinking to myself that there's no way that you would have a really skinny walkway in front of these things, because it would be too dangerous. If somebody were to trip and fall, you really don't want them to be able to trip and fall into the furnace. So just kind of trying to keep that in mind. And then, of course, you know, making sure that you can still get to that little fuel hatch there on the side. Which, honestly, it's a good thing that that's not positioned at the front, because that would be unrealistic. And you can't position it at the back because you'd never be able to get to the thing. So having it on the side is kind of a good thing. And it's a little bit more of a challenge because you have to fiddle with the placement a bit to make sure that you get the furnace set someplace where you're actually going to be able to get to it. So, nice and filled with coal. And then, of course, because it only seems realistic to do this, we'll go ahead and fill it up, start her up, fire her up, and get that furnace working for us. Now, unfortunately, I don't have enough stone to make the second furnace right now, so that's going to have to happen later after I've had a chance to do some more mining. Maybe I can get to that second furnace on Sunday during the stream. We'll see. But we do have the first one in and operational. And I am going to do a small amount of customizing. I didn't really get a whole lot done. Partly because the spacing wasn't really quite right. So I haven't decided how I'm going to address that. But I do get a little bit of customizing done. You'll see that in just a moment here. Getting a little bit more, going a little bit further back with our room here so that we have, and I'm making sure that I have enough space for that second furnace when I can get that in. And then I don't think that I'm going to worry about trying to have a door in that other wall and making it obvious that I might go through that. That just, I don't see the point. If I need to, at some point, take out the wall, then I can do that. Not a big deal. So, here we go. Not bad. Not bad at all. Alright, you guys, we are drawing to a close here in the last couple of minutes of the video. If you enjoyed the video, please be sure to hit that like button. That is super, super helpful. Drop any comments down below with suggestions, thoughts, ideas. Just want to say hi, whatever. And subscribe for more videos. And of course, feel free to share this video out to any place that you think anybody else might enjoy seeing it here. Ah, look at that. Our nice, cheerful furnace bustling away. So here we go, doing a little bit. Of course, the tricky part is always figuring out what you can do without interrupting or without blocking your ability to actually get to that little hatch there. And it is pretty nice. It looks like you can place the blocks really close to the furnace without having to worry about interfering with its operation, which is really good because that would be highly unfortunate if you were trying to place blocks and, you know, broke the furnace. And this is what I'm talking about, where the spacing just didn't quite work out. You can see here, I would really like to have columns on either side of the opening of the furnace. I think that would look really nice, but the spacing just didn't play quite right. So I will have to kind of figure out what I'm going to do with that at a later point. Since you can't take the stone blocks and just freely place them, they automatically snap to the grid. That makes it a little bit more challenging. So we'll see. I will worry about that later. Here we go. I can still get to the fuel hatch there. We've got the basis for the customization of the furnace. And I can worry about a lot of those smaller details later on. I think this is a good start to our furnace room. And then we can finish it up on Sunday. All right, you guys, thanks so much. And I will see you Sunday.